And usually at this time I try to make a dignified exit and retreat to the bass section. I'm remaining here now because I'd like to share a few words about the anthem coming up, our second anthem, The Waiting Sky by Oliver Tarney. It's rather new, but stay in your seats. It's not hard to sing notes and rhythms, and it's not a challenge to listen to. You must listen to the words, and we will try to sing with great finesse and concentration. The Waiting Sky by Oliver Tarney. He is the principal of music composition in Winchester Cathedral. We sang this once before, and I tell you, it didn't sit well with me. There was just something unsettling about it. But I didn't have time to think about that, because when you're in a choir and it's Advent and Christmas, it's another anthem. So I never really went back in my mind to think what it was. Well, we took it out for rehearsal, and I was still wrestling with that. Now, let's get a little backstory here. I want you to think about who was present when Jesus was born. That's called wait time in the classroom. Okay, now you might be thinking about the pageant from last week. Maybe you remember that wonderful stained glass window we have in the great room paying tribute to the late Herb Summers. Maybe you bought one of his. I did. So who's there? Well, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And we do think on that night the shepherds did indeed come. And for some reason we always show them holding sheep. I don't remember them being invited. We often put the wise men in our creche scenes, don't we? But we know they didn't actually come till January 6th, Epiphany, but we include them as it's sort of part of the package. Anybody else? You probably have a star above your creche. Maybe you have an angel who appears. Guess what? There were two others who were there, the ox and ass. And you know that if you remember our anthem, the ox and ass before him bow, for they are in the manger now. Or maybe as a child you sang, the cattle are lowing, the baby awakes, the ox and ass were there. If you're on an angle, you can see our nativity windows there in the Lady Eccles Chapel. There's two lights. On the northern one, you'll see the angels. They have them there, and they're bowing reverently. And you see the sheep. And in the southern light, you see Mary, Joseph, Jesus, and look in the background, the ox and ass are there. Which leads me back to our composition. It puzzled me. There is no mention of God, no mention of Jesus, no mention of Mary, no mention of Joseph, no mention of shepherds or sheep. It's all about cows, the cattle. Still a little bit puzzling. And then at rehearsal Thursday night, Quentin shared something with us. He's a bass singer, by the way, just give him credit. He pointed out that cows cannot raise their heads. And this is why you must listen to the text. They're trying to see the star over Bethlehem. They can't look up. So what do? They look down in the muddy puddles that they have churned up with their hooves, and they see the reflection. I think there's 1 or 6 good sermons in that. Now, Quentin also reminded us that each of the 4 evangelists has an emblem to be represented, and those are in the stained glass windows in the gallery here. We have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Matthew's is a youth, because, of course, his gospel begins with the genealogy of Jesus. Mark's is a lion, because Jesus was going to take us on and face death to be our resurrector. The far one there is John. It's an eagle. John was soaring above the rest of us humans, trying to get closer to heaven. And guess what Luke is? What text will we be using on Christmas Eve? The Gospel according to St. Luke. And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the fields, keeping watch over the life. Luke's emblem is an ox, cattle. That means he's in this anthem, and now you are too.
We